Today is Wednesday, January 30th. We'll be talking about which cities will be colder than Antarctica today, and what a new report says about national security. Plus, what to know about kids and screens, airport robots parking your car, and what's the 4% challenge. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We start today again with the coldest weather in a generation that continues to hit areas across the U.S. USA Today says cities like Chicago, Des Moines, and Minneapolis will be colder than Antarctica today and tomorrow. It's from what's called a polar vortex, basically sub-freezing air that normally stays over the Arctic Circle. Well, now it's hitting the Midwest. Schools are closing and some states declared emergencies. The actual temperatures will likely break all-time records, like the coldest temperature on record in Chicago, which is negative 27. The wind chills will be even colder, like negative 50 or 60, which makes it feel that cold. And that's no joke. You can get frostbite in just 4 or 5 minutes. In fact, these dangerously cold temps are impacting tens of millions of Americans this week, from North Dakota, south into Missouri, and as far east as upstate New York. People are told to just stay inside. And one more thing. President Trump tweeted about the record cold temperatures, saying, "What's going on with global warming? Please come back fast. We need you." Well, Quartz cites meteorologists from the National Weather Service who say climate change does not stop the cold weather. In fact, it could cause more extreme weather, whether it's hot or cold. Top U.S. intelligence officials told Congress the biggest threats to national security are North Korea, who will likely not give up nuclear weapons, cyber attacks from Russia and China, and ISIS, who is still planning attacks. And the AP reports the officials also said the Iran nuclear deal is actually working, meaning Iran is less of a threat. Almost all of that is quite different than what President Trump has said. Much of it directly contradicts his policies. The report and the testimony came from leaders like the directors of the FBI and CIA. Also notable is what they did not say. They didn't mention any threat or concern about the U.S.-Mexico border. But at this point, President Trump has not responded. Democrats have decided Stacey Abrams will give the rebuttal to President Trump's State of the Union address next week. She plans to give her speech to the nation from her hometown of Atlanta. Remember, Abrams made national headlines when she ran for governor in Georgia last year, but she lost in a very close and disputed race. If she had won, she would have been the first black female governor in the country. CBS News reports top Democrats asked her a few weeks ago, saying she's a great spokesperson and leader and knows what working class people go through. The president will give his State of the Union address on February 5th. Remember, it'll be a week after it was originally planned because of the government shutdown. The FBI has now completed its investigation into the Las Vegas shooting back in 2017, but said there's no clear motive. Investigators say the shooter put a lot of effort to keep his life private, and that maybe part of it was because he wanted to attain infamy from the attack. It was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Stephen Paddock killed 58 people and injured hundreds more before killing himself. California's largest utility company has now filed for bankruptcy, and the Wall Street Journal says it's the largest public company to file for bankruptcy in the U.S. within the past decade. We talked about this happening earlier this month when PG&E planned to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but now it's actually happened. And the reason it's happening? The company is facing $30 billion in liabilities. PG&E's equipment was found to have caused some of the state's deadly wildfires in the past few years. PG&E serves 16 million people, and now the AP says customers should expect higher utility bills as the company tries to get back some of the losses. One company claims it'll develop a cure for cancer in just a year's time. But CNBC says even if it actually works, it still needs years of testing before it will get approval in the U.S. In fact, at this point, the Israeli biotech company has only tested the potential cancer cure on mice, and so far there's no evidence it would work in humans. The company told the Jerusalem Post it uses peptides, which are a chain of amino acids, to target and kill cancer cells, and that it's working, at least in mice. Experts say it can take 6 or 7 years to, quote, bring cancer drugs from mouse to market. And of course, that's if it works in humans. Still, it's promising. More news still ahead, but a quick break for today's sponsor, Rachel's Overnight Oats. I know you're busy and you like to be efficient with your time. Well, I have a way for you to make your mornings easier and healthier. Rachel's Overnight Oats can be quickly prepped the night before, so you can just grab and go in the morning. And they're so easy to make. You just add your favorite almond milk, soak, and enjoy. Of course, you can also make them on the spot in just minutes if you prefer. I also love that Rachel's Overnight Oats are certified organic, gluten-free, kosher, and have no added sugar. I recently had the pumpkin spice flavor, and it tastes great. It's also really satisfying because it's packed with protein and fiber, and I appreciate that there are only 6 ingredients that are all good for you. And yes, you can eat them on their own or add honey, berries, peanut butter, you name it. This is especially for you if you live in California. This is a local LA brand. In Southern California, look for it at stores like Bristol Farms, Lazy Acres, and Jimbo's. In NorCal, look for it in Lucky Supermarkets. And in Dallas, Market Street. Learn more at rachelsbrand.com. Again, that's rachelsbrand.com. Now, back to the news. Apple is working with health insurance provider Aetna on a new app. TechCrunch says the Apple Watch app will do things like remind you to get a flu shot or refill prescriptions. The program is open to anyone covered by Aetna. It's set to launch this spring. But Apple has also dealt with some problems this week. The Wall Street Journal reports Apple is working to fix a security bug. The bug apparently allows one person calling another person on FaceTime to hear and maybe even see what that other person is saying and doing before the call is answered, and even if the FaceTime call is never answered. This was apparently happening using a group FaceTime feature, so Apple has disabled that feature for now, and an update to fix it is expected soon. There's a new study out this week linking screen time for kids with slower child development. Canadian researchers say 2-year-old children who spent more time in front of screens did worse on a development test a year later, compared to children who spent less time with screens. And there was a similar result when the same study was done at 3 and 5 years old. But there are doubts about the study. The Guardian cites other experts who say this study did not look enough at other factors like family income, the child's sleep habits, and whether they were read to, which might impact development even more. So, more studies are needed. Could robots be the future of valet parking? MIT Technology Review reports an airport in the UK will be testing it out for 3 months. Here's how the robots for valet work. Travelers leave their cars at a drop-off area. Then the robot basically acts like a forklift, lifting the cars up and parking them. No need to leave the keys. The reason for this? The airport hopes this will squeeze more cars into the same parking lots. Since robots don't need to get in and out of the cars, they don't have to leave enough room to open the doors. The robots will start in August at London's Gatwick Airport. If all goes well, we could see it in more places, from other airports to stadiums. There's a new campaign in Hollywood, and it's called the Time's Up 4% Challenge. It calls on people in the industry to commit to hiring or working with at least one female director in the next 18 months. The Hollywood Reporter says Universal Pictures is now the first Hollywood studio to accept the 4% challenge, and Mashable says some big names have already committed, like Tessa Thompson, Reese Witherspoon, Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams, and more. The 4% in the name comes from a 2017 study that found only 4% of the top 1,000 films over the last decade were directed by women. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and a big thanks to those of you who have left reviews on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. If you'd like to read more about any of the news stories we talked about today, just check out today's show notes, go to thenewsworthy.com, click episodes, and find today's date. The Newsworthy is ready for you to listen every weekday by 4 in the morning. I'll be back with more news tomorrow. Have a great day.